Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs. Today we are going to make a very simple casserole dish carrier or a pie dish carrier. It's a very quick and easy project to make. 2 pieces of fabric plus some strips for handles, and it's got a little bit of padding inside it as well. So it's a very simple project. As quick as you can get a pie baked in the oven, you can have this casserole cover or pie holder completely finished, ready to carry to its final destination. I know this. Some years back, I made a really nice spinach pie for Chris. We had our shops at opposite ends of town, so I wanted to make him a pie for his lunch, and I couldn't carry it to his shop, just coming straight out of the oven. So I whipped up a pie warmer or a pie holder for him. So hang around and I'm going to show you how to make this casserole cover that you can proudly walk down the street if you want to. Hang around. I'm using a product called Insulbright, which is an insulated lining, and you can really use any kind of batting at all. So this Insulbright will keep things cool or warm. I'm using the whole width of the sheet as well. It is about 23 inches wide, so all I've done is made a square of the fabric, and that is roughly 23 inches square. We are going to trim this down a little bit later, so that's why we don't need to have a perfect measurement just yet. So about 23 inches of batting or Insulbright, and then we want a 23-inch square of fabric, and I'm using the same fabric back and front for mine. So I've got 2 squares of fabric that are 23 inches square. Then I have 2 strips of fabric that are 2.5 inches wide by 8 inches, and then I have another 2 pieces that are 22 inches long by 2.5 inches. So that's all the material that we need, and what I'm doing now is quilting one layer to the Insulbright. The reason I'm going to do that is because this Insulbright is not adhesive, so I need to quilt it just so that it sits together on the fabric. And I'm just going to place that over the top of my fabric. I'm going to go from the very top corner here with a 45-degree angle line and come all the way down to the other side and just draw a line straight down there. I don't want to do too much quilting on here because I can't really be bothered. I might just do some lines that are 6 inches apart. So I've got my 6-inch line lined up on the previous drawn line, and make sure my ruler is over the edge, and then just draw my next line. So I'm actually going to be stitching directly onto these lines, and then I'll move the ruler onto the next line that I've just drawn, and I'll carry that through to the other side. And then I'm going to go and do the other direction as well. So I start off in the corner. I've got a 45-degree line on my quilting ruler here, and that will just go along the straight edge of my fabric here, and I'll line the ruler up in the corner. I've got 45-degree line along here, and then the ruler coming from the corner, and it will meet up at the other corner because we've got a square of fabric. And then just do the 6-inch lines again. And I'm happy to have my fabric overhanging the edge of the Insulbright because it always gets pulled in a little bit when you're quilting. We'll square this up shortly as well. I'm going to put some pins just inside the squares there to help prevent the fabric from shifting. You can use basting spray if you want to. I find that they gum up your needle though, so I'd rather not use it. I'll take this to the machine. I'm going to have a nice long stitch, so I'm going to go with maybe a 4.5 millimeter stitch all the way down. I'll start with the center line and then work my way out, and then I'll turn around and start from the center on this side and work my way out as well. There's no need to backstitch at the beginning and at the end if you don't want to, because as I said, we're going to be trimming this anyway. And let's go to the machine. Okay, I'm just going to start up in the top corner here and work my way down. There's no need to pull your fabric, just keep your hands to the side of the fabric so that it keeps it nice and flat. Once you've done the first line, you can move your pins just so that it doesn't pucker your fabric, and make sure your fabric is nice and smooth when you do your next line. Once you've done all the lines in one direction, then you can start at the other corner again in the centre and finish quilting that direction as well. With our 2.5 inch by 8 inch strips and our 2.5 inch by 22 inch strips, I'm going to draw a line down the centre of all of them, or you can use an iron, fold them in half and then fold the edges into each other. I prefer to draw a line straight down the centre so that I don't have to take the fabric to the iron. I just bring the raw edges into that centre line, fold the raw edges in on both sides, and then I'll just bring the outside edges up again until all the raw edges are hidden away, and I can just take this straight to the machine and stitch it down without having to iron it. I don't usually even clip these together. I'll take these straight to the machine and line them up as I'm sewing, and then that's just one less thing that I've got to do as I'm going. The raw edges can stay raw because they'll be tucked away underneath our fabric later. Let's go and stitch the long edge on both sides of all of these strips. All right, so when I went to the machine to sew these straps up, I forgot to hit record, so you've missed out. But all I've done is stitch down the long edge of both sides of the handles and corners. So we've got two short pieces that are 8 inches long, and these ones are 22 inches. Now we need to place our fabric together as well as our handles. What we're going to do first is square up the fabric and make sure everything is nice and even all the way around. I'm going to take the unquilted piece of fabric, place that right side together over the top of the one that has been quilted, and just make sure it's even all the way around as best you can. We're going to even all of this up now anyway. So making sure that you've got all the layers of fabric and the batting, we're going to trim off this excess just here. I might work from the other side, that way I'll know I've got the Insul Bright as well as my fabric. Then I'm going to start off with a cut on the straight line. Because my lines are already 45 degrees, I know they're all straight. I can use this 45-degree line here to make sure that I get a proper square of fabric. So if I line that up along that 45-degree line there and then move my ruler across until I can chop off the least amount of fabric and Insul Bright to have everything nice and straight. You've got a second 45-degree line here as well, so you can make sure everything looks nice and straight and trim off as little as you can here. Carefully turn your work around just one corner, and we're going to straighten up the next edge, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're also going to use the bottom edge of the line that we've just cut. So if I use a straight line from my ruler here, I can line that up on the very bottom edge there. I can see that my 45-degree line is in line with the 45-degree stitching that I've done, and I'll move my ruler over just so that I have the minimal amount of excess cut off. And then just line up the straight edge of your ruler with the edge that you've already cut and continue to cut. Now that we've done two straight edges, we now want to have the correct square measurement of this. So if we line that up, I'm using my cutting mat to see how big my piece of fabric is. It is 22.5 inches, or just a touch over 22.5 inches. So I'm again going to cut off as little as I possibly can. I'll cut that off at 22.5 inches. So I'm going to line up my ruler again on the straight edge, and you can either measure across or you can use the guidelines on your cutting mat and ruler if you have them. You'll notice when I use my rotary cutter and ruler, when I'm cutting, I've got my hands shaped kind of like a claw. I don't have my hands straight down on the ruler because that's incredibly dangerous. Say I'm cutting along and I slip, I've got nowhere for my hands to go if I slip with my cutter, and I'll end up cutting across my fingers. If I've got my hand like a claw here and I start behind me and start cutting up, I'll go just a little bit past my hand and then I'll walk up and cut a little bit more, walk up and then cut a bit more, and I'll keep going like that. And it's a lot safer for you to do that than it is to go and cut one really long strip. And I always close my blade. If you get into the habit of always closing it, you'll never have an accident. And that's my rant over, at least for now. I'm on my last side now. I'm just going to double check that I can get 22.5 inches out of that, which I can. I've just got to cut the smallest amount off. Our two fabric pieces are now exactly the same size. And what we need to do now is place our handles and little loops onto the corner of our fabric. Take one of the layers out of the way. We'll take a short loop, and I'm going to measure 3 inches from the corner down. I'll place the loop at the 3-inch mark there, and we'll do the same on the other side. Keep your loop nice and flat and measure 3 inches from the corner. Go to the corner next to it and grab your long loop, which is actually your handle, and we'll place that in the same position, 3 inches in. Keep your handle nice and flat. Then we'll go to the other corner and use a small loop, and we'll repeat this process until the job's done. So in opposite corners we're going to have a short loop, and in the other opposite corner we're going to have the long loop for the handles. So we've got our two opposite corners here with the long handle, and then we've got our two short loops on the other opposite corners. You can go and take this straight to the machine and stitch it down now, and then that will have all your handles and everything securely in place. In fact, I might actually just go and do that now as well. Okay, the handles and loops have all been stitched on. All I've done is just a back stitch up and down a couple of times on the edge of the fabric there for all 4 corners. Take the quilted piece of fabric and we'll place that back down right side together. Line up all the corners and make sure the handles and loops are all sitting inside, and we're going to clip it all together very securely all the way around. We'll leave a small opening just in one section for turning through. So if you clip all the corners first, then you can ease the rest of it in together. When we stitch this closed, where we've got the excess bulk from the handles and loops, we're actually going to come over and stitch over them and then go back and forward again and then keep on going around. We'll do that for all of the handles and loops. Okay, once you've done the corners, then just ease your fabric apart and clip it together so that you don't have any ripples or lumps. Okay, this is all clipped together. I have an opening here, which is what we will use for turning through later. And we're going to start stitching here, back stitch, go all the way down the corner, around, and keep on going all the way around. And I'm also going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance here instead of a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It'll make it a lot easier when we turn the fabric through the right way, do the top stitching and close up the opening. Okay, very simple, just back stitch here. We'll stitch all the way around, and remember to secure the handles when you go past them. And then we're back to the opening. Before we turn this the right way around, we just want to trim the corners, and we can turn it the right way around and then even it all out nicely, clip the edges, and we'll top stitch. Okay, everything is turned the right way around. The corners are all pointing outward, and I've got my opening closed up here. Now, one of the benefits of doing a 1/2 inch seam allowance rather than a 1/4 inch seam allowance is that you have so much room here to fold your fabric under. It makes it a lot easier, And when you go and top stitch, you don't have to top stitch right on the very edge. You can actually come in even 1/4 of an inch if you want to. We're going to top stitch all the way around all the edges and close up the side, and then this is finished. We're not going to stitch the handles down as we go. We're going to have those out of the way, and by doing that it means we can actually have this casserole cover completely reversible. So had I used 2 different fabrics, you'd have, you know, a different look on either side, and you could use it either way. So don't stitch over your handles as you're going. When you're doing the top stitching, we've already triple stitched the handles, but when you come around and top stitch again, you're securing the handles again anyway. So there's going to be enough stitching in all of the handles to keep everything in place. Let's go and stitch this closed. And I'll start right here where the opening is. It's up to you if you want to triple stitch your handles again. I think for me it's just habit. I naturally want to go and do that. You certainly shouldn't need to. And there we have it. As quick as you can get a pie made up in the oven, you can make yourself this little pie holder or casserole dish holder. The only thing I need to do now is go and buy a casserole dish that will actually suit this. The one I've got is way too big, but even a big one like this. Take your small loop here, put the large loop through that. Same with the other one, you've got your small loop, put the large loop through that, and then you can carry your dish or your pie. But perhaps go and get yourself something a bit smaller. Quilted on one side. If you wanted to, you can go and just follow these quilt lines so that you can quilt through all the layers. But when you do that, you run the risk of the fabric dragging and it will end up puckering on the edges. So it's up to you if you want to go to the trouble of quilting that. I don't think it needs to. There's enough padding in here, and the Insel Bright has been quilted to at least 1 layer of the fabric. Even though my dish is slightly oversized for this, it will still carry your hot food very easily. So it's got quite a heavy pan in there by the time you've got your food in there. So there's lots of support in the handles. It's not going to come apart. And you can proudly walk down the street with your own hot pie or casserole in there. It's really just a quick, fun project to make, and really doesn't take any time at all. I hope you found this a nice, easy project to do. I think it'll be a great one for beginners as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.